Our week of webisodes for Stamp Camp is coming to an end, and we're going to end, I know, we're going to end with some whimsical looking things.
These are really fun stamp sets, and when you pair them with the tin pins that go with, you get some really fun and unique looks.
And then we're also going to show some different techniques. So stay with us and come play with us. Now we have several sets, but I thought it would be easier if we showed them individually.
Individually, and what goes with what.
And what goes with what, right. Yeah. So this is the stamp set, and you can see that this is the charm that you're going to see in all of them. So very cutesy.
This one is the magical, I believe, the magical stamp set. It's got a fairy, it's got a unicorn, fun stuff on here.
Right, and then these are the tin pins that you were talking about. Self-adhesive.
Right, and we'll show you what we've done with it, but also it has some great little sayings that go with it, so you can do great card making.
Have a magical day. Okay, and here is one result. Now we're going to get in really close so you can see that little fairy and see what she's doing.
So what is intended with these sets is that you stamp an image on there, and then you choose a tin pin that goes along with the stamped image.
Right.
And you just zot it on there.
Right, and you can see, well, there is the little girl face. You can do a blonde brunette or redhead. That way you have your choice.
It's fun. Plus there's one, here's the unicorn, and there's an extra little frog, and there's a door, which is on this great little house on the stamp set, which I think is really cute.
Now, I'm seeing a really pastel look here, and you've done a couple of different things.
Right. It also has the pastel cardstock in back, so there's 3 strips of pastel cardstock. But I took on white cardstock, and I stamped the image first, and I'll show you how I did that. So I'm going to pull in, here's my cardstock.
I'll get this out of your way.
Alrighty. And here's the little fairy that was, it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, there's the little fairy stamp. I put it on here. And I took 3 different fluid chalk inks. I've got Pink Sky, Plumeria, and this blue called Chambray. And I started with the Pink Sky, and using just the edge of the stamper, I'm going to turn it sideways so you can see what I'm doing here. I just sort of applied it in the center. I sort of applied it to like maybe a 1/2 inch strip or so. Just stamp it along in the center like that. So I inked up the center of the stamp in kind of a strip, a wide band. Then I took the Plumeria ink and stamped that on the bottom. This one I actually, just so you can lay it on there, because you're going on the bottom, just cover the bottom right up to that pink. And then the chambray, I inked the top of the stamp set. You want to do it kind of quick so that everything doesn't dry. And when you press these down, they're really fine line stamps. So let's see, you want to press it kind of hard to make sure that it goes on there. And ink it on there for a little bit. And when you pull it off, if you've done it right, which if you apply enough pressure, it'll go all the way around.
So you've got that variegated look.
A variegated look, almost like a rainbow effect.
And then, speaking of the rainbow, that's what you've done in the coloring, it looks like.
Right. I used the pastel, the pearl shimmering shades of the pearlescent chalks.
Okay.
And you can just start coloring them in, and that's kind of the fun part. Just pick whatever color you put. Here's the stylus that goes with it, and you grab one of these little pom-poms. And I kind of grab it close down to the end, just let a little bit stick out so that you can get fine detail and really apply it where you want it. Grab some of that, and I'm going to start on the dress here. And just start inking it in.
Okay, just chalk it in.
Chalk it in.
Okay.
That would be a good idea when you're using chalk. Chalk it in, like so.
I was trying to do that subtly.
But I did that, and I used all of the different chalks to chalk it, the image in. All the way.
And here's the end result. And on the cardstock, you use the words and her little wand. And the other thing that you've done is to add in some silver thin line dazzle. So you can see there at the corners, you've also chalked the corners of that piece of cardstock.
Went in between each of these, and then I wrapped it with 2 different kinds of ribbon. I've got the vine on top of the sheer dot.
And then up there. And then on the inside, there's our little unicorn. Gets prime color, and I love the rainbow chalking on on his tail.
They have a tin pin that you can put on the unicorn too,
right?
But I chose not to because on the inside of the card, it would really make the card stand up. You know, you couldn't close it very well, so I left it like that. And there's a little bit. That's the picnic paper pack back there that you're seeing.
Very sweet. So that is one combination.
Did we say that we zotted that on?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Now we're going to go to an underworld, and this has two sets of stamps that go with one set of tin pins, and you can see that the one has all sorts of fishes and whales and octopus and the waves. The other one has the mermaid and more fish and a big clam.
It's got seaweed. I love the clam, the pearl and the oyster anyway, and the jellyfish, all kind of fun stuff.
The tin pins, there's the pearl that can go into that oyster. Of course, our mermaid has a little face, and you can make polka dot fish, striped fish, and your octopus can have a smiley face. And here is just an amazing technique, and I think this is so spectacular.
Well, I used in the background there, you can see the new purple circles holographic.
There's a big piece just in case a little wasn't enough.
Which I embossed on. First of all, you can see the embossing over here.
Now, I had no idea you could do that.
Well, I wasn't sure if you could or not. So when I tried it, I was real careful with it, and then I kind of tested it and really got close to it for a long time, and boy, it doesn't hurt it.
That's good to know.
You want to be careful with any paper anyway, but it will actually damage the back of the paper before it will damage the image on the front.
Holographic, and you've got some extra bubbles. So you used, okay, well, go ahead and do the process.
Well, here's the purple holographic paper. And what is really important when you're embossing on this, I found, is to use one of these perfect pouches. It's got the chalk in there.
Right, and it will remove any static cling also.
Right, because on this kind of paper, it really, the little embossing powders, they stick all over it. So you really want to get that well powdered.
Good to know.
And then I used the Versamark.
Of course.
And here's my little, well, you call it an octopus. I thought it was a jellyfish, so I don't know now.
Well,
it could be either for me.
Your choice. Whoever's stamping gets to choose.
And so I inked that up with the Versamark, got the Versamark solution on there. And then I stamped it on like so. The thing about this paper is that it's kind of slick. You want to be careful not to let your image slide around on it. So I'm really going to press it down in there good and then carefully lift it up. There we go.
Okay.
And then I've got my embossing powder.
This is the white superfine embossing powder.
Superfine. And because I put the perfect pouch all over, then it should just stay on the image that I stamped. I like to get it, shake it around a little bit, and then flick it off a couple of times.
Yes, now we'll return the excess to the jar, but for right now, we'll just get it out of your way.
So I've got my heat tool, my heat gun here, and I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Pick it off. I don't want to ruin the
You know, it's really funny because Lene and I were talking about could you heat emboss on the holographic, and she kind of felt like you couldn't, and so we didn't try. So you tried and found it worked.
We weren't sure about it, and you know, I'm one of those people, I want to know. I don't want to not know. So there we go.
Boy, just very quickly.
And you can see I wasn't real far away from it, and it didn't damage the paper. Everything is just fine and dandy.
That's great.
So that's embossed. And
you use the little ones right here.
Right.
And
also, all the you can still sort of see the powder on there. You can wipe that off either with your finger or with a paper towel.
Now that big one you did on paper or cardstock?
I did it on white cardstock, and then I actually used the watercolor pencils to color it in.
That we showed earlier in the week.
Right.
Very
I colored
good.
them in, and then I used a brush on them to blend the colors.
Add even more, and it looks to me like you've got some jeweled dazzles just because that holographic wasn't blingy enough.
This border is also part of the stamp set, and I stamped that right on the papers. This is from the Rosemary and Thyme paper pack. Stamped and embossed on there, and then I cut out this one, just so you could get that image behind it.
That's very nice.
Oh, and the Splish Splash, that's from the
Yeah, it's also from it. So we've got all that going on inside. Oh my goodness, there's a whole colony
of octopi.
Of octopi, and very fun to leave those black and white, because then our holographic really highlights the phrase.
Right, and then they're colored in just a little bit with watercolor pencils too.
And when life gives you troubles, blow bubbles. That's a really good phrase to use. Yeah. Perfect with these. Now, we said that there are 2 sets of stamps. Well, here is the second step. Second set, and this is with the mermaid, which I particularly love.
This is great. The mermaid, and this stamp of a rock is also part of the set. The rock, the seaweed.
Right, so you can create your own little scene.
This is done on the geometric paper pad.
It is, and this is also stamped on the silky paper.
Now silky paper cards, right, silky papers.
And
which they're really good for using Spectrum Noir on.
Right, because they're bleed proof, meaning that the Spectrum Noir pens or anything that might bleed through won't bleed through, so it works really well. And you can see that our little mermaid has been colored in with the Spectrum Noir pens.
One of the techniques that I want to mention on here, we've mentioned it before, I think maybe we've even talked about it this week in Stamp Camp, is that we masked off one of the images. I stamped the image of the oyster on a piece of scrap paper.
So there it is.
Then I cut it out and I laid it on this cardstock, and then I stamped the seaweed so that the seaweed would be behind that image.
Very good. Right. A good basic stamping technique. You can see that 10 pin pearl. So again, the 10 pins give a dimension to it. Hope your day is a splash is one of the phrases on there. So just a really sweet, and this mesh ribbon really works well.
This is great. This is part of the geometric ribbon set, and I actually split it right down the center so I could have a piece on the bottom and a piece on the top.
Because it's heavier. And again, just to see those 10 pins, you can see that one of the fish can be dotted, can be striped. There is our octopus jellyfish and going there. Okay.
They add such a unique look. I love adding those to the finished project.
And I love the mermaid. Okay. So we'll scoot those over. We did. There isn't one. I was trying to avoid that.
No, that didn't happen.
Okay, now we're going into bugs. And we again there are 2 sets of stamps that will work with these 10 pins. One is, let me see. This is called Inch by Inch, and this one is called Bug You. And you can see, again, with some really sweet little phrases on them. These are the 10 pins, so you can see that any of the butterfly, dragonfly, or inchworm, centipede, or the grasshopper, or the ladybug can have a face. And then there's
the snail. I love that one. That's the little snail shell on there on the back. These phrases are so cute. You just can't even, sorry, I'm a little pokey.
Happy belated birthday.
And I'm buggy over you.
I make dirt look good. And this is for the ladybug. So let's look and see how this can be done. This, what a great way to use these in this grouping with the window in our card.
This is wonderful. This is using the design toolkit to cut the edges of your card as well as a window.
Works really well.
Right, and the look on here that you're seeing, I want to show you how Susan did that.
Let's get in close to see what on the paper. So I'm seeing some spattering, but I'm seeing some shimmer too. How do you get that?
Well, Susan started with a piece of white cardstock.
Okay.
And in this case, she took Glimmer Mist, which is true turquoise Glimmer Mist, and misted over the whole thing. Then she took the little, you call it an inchworm stamp, and here it is.
Or centipede.
Or centipede, or I don't know, caterpillar. And with the Memento ink, so she must have, so if she's using Memento, then she's using
Spectrum Noir. Yes.
The Spectrum, the paper. I was trying to think of the.
Oh, it's the
silky paper, or
you can do it on the silky.
On the silky papers, then. The Memento works really well on the silky papers and with the Spectrum Noir pens. And she inked up like that, get it nice and inky so that I can get a good image for you. And stamp that right on the Glimmer Misted. And I'm going to try to get a lot of blue.
I was going to say, you get to choose your area. and do the stamping. Now that's going to give you the blue, and kind of fun having that mottled look with the glimmer mist.
So you can leave it like that and cut out your image as such, but she wanted to go a little bit further, and she added this smooch ink, which is in the color Pool.
Okay.
I just like the name.
I do too.
And then she started coloring them in, and she did like every other one, so you get one little part of the body.
And I'm going to scoot this up. Okay.
In the center of the screen.
So she did every other one.
Right, she did every other one. So there's this one, and then I'm gonna.
So you're going to get a variegated look, but you're also going to get the shimmer of the smooch, which is so nice to have. And if you're not familiar with smooch, that applicator tip just really makes it easy to apply it.
Right. It looks like a brush. It's in the shape of a brush, but it's actually, it doesn't have separate little pieces. It's just one piece.
Okay. Now, if you're looking at this and thinking, there's no way I'm cutting out around those feet, you are absolutely right. So you would want to.
Here, I wanted to show can you see
and you
the,
get
the
that shimmer? Yeah.
Shimmer.
Very sweet. So you would take that piece, but you would stamp your little bug first and then glue his painted body.
So he's been stamped on the card, on the paper, and then that piece that we just created, she cut out that piece, leaving the antenna and the feet on here.
Yeah. And then you can see what the tin pin does. And in
look, the little tiny black jewel dazzles. Just a little bit,
in
adds
the antenna.
a lot.
And quite a bit on this butterfly, but you really get the look of that misting on the cardstock first on her wings.
And then smooching and little special little areas.
Same thing on this dragonfly. You see the smooch on it. Just so absolutely charming. Inching along to wish you a happy day.
And I think that's from the Citrus Creative cut?
I think it is. Yeah. So just a really charming. Now, if you just wanted to do one bug and make several of them, here's a card representing that technique, but only one has the tin pin, which is really what you want, just to let that I'm buggy over you and our little guys.
This climbing up the page, and then the matting here is the Pink Hearts holographic paper.
Right.
It's so bright. Just a little bit of it adds just a great punch.
And there you go. And with specialty papers like the holographic, just a little bit goes a long way, and that's really, really nice to have.
So this is a really simple card to me. What I like about this is that it is so simple. You just stamp back and forth with the stamp, you color in with the Spectrum Noir, and then you just pop a tin pin on it.
Right, easy to do. Okay, we have another set. Now we're going into royalty this time. We have our knight in shining armor, and we have our maiden. And you can see that we also have a dragon, which I think is my favorite. And let's get in close so we can see these.
This is the magical and fairy tales set.
I think you're right. Like so there's our knight and his shield and sword, our dragon, who doesn't look terribly fearsome. And
this is great. There's a little shoe. One shoe really can change your life.
And then here is our princess and all of her accompanying things, including a frog.
And a coach.
And her coach, and some flowers, and today was a fairy tale.
So there's lots of fun little additional tiny little stamps that you can play with, and we'll show you what we did with those.
And as you might guess, that every knight and princess needs a tin pin head, again, blonde, brunette, redhead.
And then you've got the dragon. This is the front of the coach. You've got the knight here.
It goes right there on the coach. We had a very fun time playing matching games to see what went with what. Now, let me show you what's been done with these.
I suppose you could put the dragon face on the princess, but I don't
let's not do that. Okay, here is Princess, It's Your Day, and this is going to accordion fold out. And we've got Dream Big, Little Girl on our carriage. May all your wishes come true. What a sweet, sweet card.
This was a fun card to make, and you just getting the folds in the right place it's really pretty simple. It might not look like that, but and then you've got each of these little cards just glued on there. You treat them separately and then put them on. And let's see, the pink hearts holographic was used on here, and I actually used Stays On.
Let's get in tight to see this.
So I stamped these images a few times. I stamped the flowers. Anyway, I used Stays On to stamp on the holographic paper and on a couple of different pieces of the grapefruit paper pack.
Oh, I see.
Then I cut them out individually and stacked them on top of each other.
And nice with the pins that you can match her hair to the tin pins. So
sure. You can stamp the hat separately and cut that out. That's fun.
Princess, it's your day.
And then there's the carriage.
And the last. So these two have tin pins. The last one doesn't. But boy, that holographic paper works really well for matting and for your magic wand.
That's fun. This is an example of the cardstock. I used a regular cardstock, the 5 by 6.5 cardstock that opens up flat like this.
Oh, the blank card.
A blank card.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Blank card. And then if you measure over, I wrote these on here so you can see what it looks like. It's a 1 5/8 inch to your first score line, and then another 1 5/8 inch to the next 3 score lines. So you score it in 4 places.
Okay.
And then you've got a mountain fold, valley fold, mountain fold, valley fold.
Which is going to look like this if you were to stand it up on end.
Right.
So mountain, as you know, is going up.
It's going up like
Valley
this.
is going down.
Valley is going down, mountain up.
The magic of
and
scoring.
Valley down. And there you go. That's the card.
And what's interesting, I'm really glad you did that, because when I'm looking at this card, I feel like it's much more substantial. It looks bigger, but that's because of these individual pieces.
Right. So you can make separate little cards for each one. What you want to do, if you want to make a different card that has these card fronts, just make sure that each one behind is lined up correctly to cover up the next card front.
Yeah, because you can see that this first one hides everything else that's going on. Very, very sweet. And finally, our knight in shining armor is here. And again, you've done some embossing, right?
I did. And what I wanted was to be able to do something with the stamps without having to color them in. So I used specialty cardstock like the silver linen and the green circles holographic that I could just emboss right on there. So there's your silver linen. That
is just spectacular with them. And I love how the tin pin looks the silvery too.
So it can be all in color, but everything else is not in color, which is great.
So that's just a bigger piece of the silver linen.
That's the silver linen, and then the green circles holographic, which is really what makes this stand out, I think.
Well, actually, I think the other thing that helps so much is the black suede.
That makes everything pop.
It just does, and I'm so glad to know about that heat embossing. So easy to do.
So heat embossing in white over here, embossing in black here. And then do it again on some of the, that kind of moved. That's supposed to be zotted on there.
We'll talk to it.
Pieced on there. But do them separately on the different page and then cut them out and foam tape them on. And over here, I heat embossed on black cardstock.
Very cute. Sorry to hear your tail's been dragging. And on the inside, best wishes for a speedy recovery. That's cute. Just to let our little dragon, just the top of him show.
Just to let him pop up and add a little bit more here of those extra stamps. And I used the black jewel border dazzles.
Yes, I see that. And it's so effective. And that looks like this has the silver accents also. And just, well, our day has not been dragging. No. We've had a great week, and we so appreciate your joining us.
And we'll have another one of these next year.
See you next July.
Bye-bye.